I identified what I saw was an issue. Not enough people speaking transparently about the college experience. Attending an Ivy League, being black, and being a woman was just an extra added layer. I created Silence the Podcast to combat this issue of excessive romanticization and non transparency. These were the results.
Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Silence the Podcast. This is season 2, episode 2. If you're watching this, I know you're probably like, girl, where you been? Like, literally, the last video I uploaded, it was all the way in, I believe, August or September, and it was right after, or no, right before. I don't even remember when I uploaded it, but it was around the time I was moving into college, and then after that, I literally just went AWOL. So right now, right here today, I'm here to update you all on what I've been going through, where I've been, and what's been happening since the last time we spoke. We literally have a lot to get through today. Like, I'm looking at my computer and I have a lot of notes for this episode. So first I want to start off with the topic of where I've been at. Like I just said, I've been missing in action for the past 2-3 months. What's been going on? Why have I been gone? I'm taking 4.5 credits, which means I'm taking a language this semester. And obviously, like, learning a language is very difficult, it is a lot of work, and it does take a lot of effort. And then on top of Spanish, I'm taking 3 other classes, which we'll get into that later. And then on top of taking 4.5 credits, I also have 2 jobs. I feel like discipline is a big part of my life. Like, it is, discipline is why I'm at Yale now. Like, discipline is a major factor as to why I am who I am and why I'm in the places and why I'm in the doors that I would have been able to open for myself. But in terms of small stuff like money management, like, I have very poor discipline in. So I really wanted to like fix that as I enter like young adulthood, because this is my last year as a teenager. I just feel like it's a little bit unacceptable on what my spending habits were like. So definitely having 2 jobs and having to work like really hard for my money and put in a lot of hours and sacrifice free time, that has taught me the, you know, purpose and the importance of having my own money and like being careful and being intentional about what I spend my money on, and also being able to have a savings. So if a bad day ever happens and I need like a couple $100s, I could go pull it out of a safe, stuff like that. And then eventually I do want to get into investing. So that's why I've had 2 jobs, so I can, start preparing for like law school preparation and like applying to law schools, but also just to teach myself, how I can better manage money. But I would definitely say the last like major factor that prohibited me was working on my nonprofit, The Voices We Hear. Basically, what I do is I provide completely free mentoring to underprivileged and underrepresented students in high school applying to college. Because when I was applying to college, I believe that my process would have went completely different, and I just didn't know a lot of stuff and I was unclear in a lot of stuff. And I feel like to this day I'm still suffering because I did not have like a good amount of people that were able to help me and guide me and give me ample amount of resources. And I know, just being a college student, just being a 19-year-old college student still trying to figure my life out, there's not really a lot I can give. But I can definitely say, like, I'm not dumb, and I don't feel like it takes Albert Einstein to figure out what were the strongest parts of my college application. What are these colleges looking for? Especially seeing the trends of what I'm noticing within the people I'm here, and like the personality type, the test scores, the personal statements, the extracurriculars. So I really do dedicate a lot of my free time to helping students of color and just students in general in high school that want to get into these top institutions but don't really have the support backing them. And obviously we're in November now, so it just passed like the wave of when all major college deadlines were due, at least for like the first part of it, because I know it's going to come up again at the end of like this year when these college applications are officially closing. So yeah, I've just been dedicating a lot of my time to that, and it is something that I want to continue to do that for, just because I dedicated and I put in so much of my personal time and money into it. Having a nonprofit and making sure all your legal paperwork and everything is situated is not cheap at all. With that being said, silence was kind of put on a back burner, but I really anticipated that. But I'm still appreciative for everyone that like reached out to me while I wasn't uploading and asking me, where's silence? When is it coming back? What's tea with it? Well, now you know what's tea. And then I'll get into a little bit more of like the future of silence and what it's going to look like for the rest of my sophomore year, just because I already have an idea of like how active I'm going to be able to be with the podcast. So now that we got that out the way and you guys know like kind of a little bit of where I've been and like what I've been doing while I haven't been active with the podcast, now I'm going to get into where we left off with the last episode. I was still at home and I didn't move in yet for my sophomore year. And I was about to start the CC program. And if you don't know what that is, it's Cultural Connections program. And basically when you apply to Yale, when you're a freshman and, after you get in and everything, all freshmen are assigned to different like Camp Yale programs, Camp Yale orientation programs for their first like 3-4 days at Yale. And it's meant for you to like start building community, start finding friends, start learning a little bit about the history of the institution, and start, being able to navigate campus and know what certain buildings are, where you can find certain things. So that's really the point. And this year I decided to be a cultural connections counselor because I did cultural connections my freshman year, and I feel like I didn't have the best experience, but I really do appreciate the overarching like theme and the overarching purpose of the program. And it really just is that everyone is assigned into like a family where there's parent one and parent two, and then there's like 7 or 8 kids, which are the freshmen, and we basically act as like guide camp counselors, or like guide. I don't even know how to say it, but we basically act as camp counselors for the first few days, and we get to know them. We answer all of their questions, and we get to really give them like the truth and the real spill about what our experience has been. And I personally have taken my role as a camp counselor, or as a Camp Yale counselor, cultural connections counselor, very serious. And I would definitely say the program was very rewarding because I just got to meet so many different incoming freshmen and just learn a little bit about their stories and where they're coming from and what their intentions of being like at Yale even is. And like I said, like I was very grateful to be able to do that, and I'm very grateful that I am the person that they got to meet, and I'm a part of like their story. And on top of that, cultural connections was really cool for me too, because so many people, and I'm not gonna say like hundreds of students, but it's a lot of people from me. A lot of people came up to me saying like, hey, like, aren't you the host of Silence the Podcast? Like, I definitely watched your podcast and it influenced my decision to come here. And it was really like, wow, like that's how wide my reach was. Like that's how big the impact was. Like, yes, it's not a viral sensation, and nor do I intend it to be, but I've always said, like, even if one person watches it, 200 people watch it, 50 people watch an episode, I'm glad that it reaches the people that it's supposed to reach. I wish I had someone like me, really, that was there for me and was willing to guide me and answer my questions and didn't just ditch me after the program ended. The fact that I'm so active in my kids or the people in my group's like life and journey at Yale, and like I still make sure to celebrate their birthdays. I still make sure to reach out when like big things are happening and make sure that they're staying aware and they're aware of stuff and they're being up to date. Like it's just my version of paying it forward, and I'm very proud of myself and how I've like taken on my role. After the program ended, I feel like an immediate like wave of sadness hit me, because it's like, damn, like I just got off like a high and I'm meeting new people, and I like had these little humans that I'm responsible for making sure that they're fully informed of like what their experience might be like, and I'm answering their questions, and I'm finally in a position where I can give advice and I can speak on like what they may or might like what they may or may not go through here. So I felt like I was exerting a lot of energy outward, but then I kind of sat back and realized like, okay, now I'm back to like being alone, because at that point I really didn't have friends on campus. I really wasn't looking forward to like seeing anybody once we got back to school, or once everyone officially moved in. So it was just like, damn, I was still trying to stay positive. And then my classes started, and then I was just settling back in. And I would definitely say I was also going through some exposure therapy, because if you know, if you watch season one, then I didn't have a good first year at all. And it was just a very dark time in my life that gives me nightmares still when I think about it, like to this day. But being back on campus and like going to places that I stopped going to just because it was very triggering, or seeing people that, I wasn't on the best terms with at the time, was also very triggering, because it's like, damn, I got a really good break from all of this when I was in London for the summer, and then when I was back home. And then now I'm back to being around people and seeing places where I didn't have the best experience, or that they bring back a lot of like trauma and like negative feelings. So that was something that I had to grapple with too. And I mentioned my classes, and they were challenging, but they're not terrible. Like I said, if you watch the last season, if you watch the last episode of the last season of Silence, then you know that I was in a class I should not have been in, and I was very close to failing that class, and that would have just threw off my whole like Yale trajectory. So it definitely wasn't to that extent, but they are definitely challenging me in ways that school and education has never challenged me before, which I'm not necessarily complaining about, because that's really what it's all about. If I knew everything in life, then I would have no purpose here, and it just would not be fun. But like that's why I'm in college, to learn more about the world and reflect and all that jazz. But they are very challenging. And then on top of that, Yale is one of the schools that have distributional requirements, as they call it, or basically like prereq classes or necessary classes or subjects or whatever you want to call it that you need to graduate. And obviously, like, I'm pre-law, I'm going to law school, so the math and the sciences is not really my thing, but I still need those classes in order to graduate. So those are not really what I enjoy. And I'm really going to be taking classes that I don't enjoy just to get the credits to graduate for maybe one more semester. So that's not really something I look forward to. Everything I do here, I have to put in my full effort. I have to study hours for it. I have to, put in what I want to get back out. So that just goes to show like what the state of my classes is like. But we'll get into that a little bit more towards the end of this episode. Then, like I already mentioned, on top of my classes, I also work 2 jobs. So that was that. At the beginning of the semester, I was very active in the gym too. So I was waking up at like 6 a.m. every single morning and making sure I go to the gym. That was one of the things, or another aspect that I want to be more disciplined in. And then, I was just trying to settle back into my routine. So that was really the recap of like what happened the first like month and a half when I got back to Yale and when I started my freshman year. And now I'm gonna go into, different like segments or different subjects of things that I normally speak about. So like academic life, social life, mental health, my living situation, because this is where shit is gonna get real at. And if you don't like real, you're not gonna like this episode because I have a lot to say. Trust me, I do. So now that we got the recap out the way, let's get into, the nitty gritty of what's really been going on. I rarely take a class at the school that I am like fulfilled by, or I feel like I really enjoy. I feel like during my freshman year, there was maybe 2 or 3 classes throughout the whole like 8 that I took that I really enjoyed. I feel like this semester, there's like 1, maybe 2 classes I'm taking that I really enjoy, and I feel like I'm going to apply to my real life. And I feel like that's a problem because in my personal experience, I do super well in naturally and stuff that I'm interested in and that, I feel like I'm going to use in the real world after I graduate college. So the fact that semester after semester, I feel like I'm in classes that are required for my major, that I'm in classes where I'm like, what am I here for? Like, I really don't care about what this professor is saying right now. No shade, but like, I really don't care. So that's a little bit frustrating because it's like, bro, are we serious? Like, I feel like I went my whole kindergarten through 12th grade learning about shit that I didn't care about because I was told that I had to take X, Y, and Z to get to college. And now I'm in college doing the same thing. Even if you don't come into college knowing your major, you know your strong suits and you know the direction that you want to take your academics. Like I said, even if you don't know your major or even if you don't know your intended career, I feel like by the time you get in college, you know whether you're a STEM person versus a humanities person. You know whether or not you like a lot of like math, sciencey, technical stuff, or whether you like more like humanities and like social science stuff. So why do I have to still dibble and dabble in stuff that I already know I don't like or I don't really want to learn about? I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating. And then the last thing I'll say on the academic subject is the recent course selection. Course selection as like a lower classman or whatever you want to call it, that shit is so frustrating, bro, because these professors really don't care if you're a freshman or sophomore. Like, they're only prioritizing juniors and seniors. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because obviously like they're graduating soon. So you want them to get the classes that they need to graduate, and you want them to like take what they have to use for their senior thesis and stuff like that. But it's like, damn, literally. I applied to 4 classes for the spring semester, for next semester. I only got into 2, and the 2 that I didn't get into was the 2 that I really, really, really wanted to take and was going to be the most interesting. And usually I try to take a class or 2 each semester that I think is going to fulfill me and that I think is going to really interest me. But because I didn't get into those 2 because they prioritize juniors and seniors, now I feel like I'm in all classes where I'm not going to be fulfilled or where I'm not really interested in. And the semester didn't start yet. I didn't take them yet, so I don't know for sure. But I know myself and I kind of know what I like. And well, I definitely know what I like and what I don't like. So I'm just a little bit worried about how next semester is going to go. But if anything, I'm just going to drop 1 and only take 3 classes because spring semester is way worse than fall semester in my opinion. And I know some people say like the opposite, but fall semester we get 3 breaks. We get October break, November break for Thanksgiving, and then winter break for Christmas. Winter break is a month long, Thanksgiving break is a week long, and then October break is like 3-4 days long. So in between all of the hard work and the midterms and the finals, it still feels like I'm getting a break and like able to stop and decompress and get little pauses in between the grind and the lock-in. Spring semester, we only get spring break, which is in the middle of March. So all January through the beginning of March is grind time, and the rest of March into May is grind time. So it's longer periods of time where you have to stay focused, you have to stay disciplined, you have to stay locked in. And that's just harder to do, especially in college. So spring semester, that's always going to be the worst semester for me. And that takes a toll like mentally and emotionally. So I'm not even going to try to go super hard for the spring, knowing that I'm not going to perform well. I know myself and I pay large attention to what are my strong suits and what works for me. So that's really my spiel on academics. Like I said, like I'm still grateful to learn from some of these people. In my opinion, some of these teachers do not need some of these professors don't need to be professors, because real spill, like they are already too far gone in their field. They're too much in their expertise era to the point where they struggle to break down stuff into simple concepts that people that have never studied this before will understand. And once again, that's frustrating, because it's like, okay, I want to learn. Like, I don't mind having to learn this, but at least teach it to me in a way that I can understand. Like, we have to start there. And a lot of times they don't start there at the school. But once again, that's what comes with going to prestigious university with people that are like leaders in their field and have discovered the earth and stuff like that. So it is what it is. I'm gonna just continue to try my best, continue to strive for the highest grades possible, and continue to prioritize my GPA over everything else. Now we're gonna get into social life, and baby, this is gonna be the longer segments. I hope I got through everything quickly after I'm done editing, because we're gonna be on this for a while. So social life, let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to say is I had a lot of healing conversations, and I've definitely learned a lot of lessons, especially in October. I feel like October shifted the trajectory of my sophomore year, because if I'm going to keep saying this, but if you watched the first season, then you kind of saw how certain stuff unfolded for me socially, and how I just didn't have a good social life. Like I didn't have strong friends or people that I felt comfortable and safe with for a majority of my freshman year. So I did have a lot of like healing conversations and a lot of conversations with people where I got clarity on and was able to move forward about. And I'm very grateful for that, because walking around like with such a heavy weight on your heart because you have unfinished business or unspoken tension with people, especially on a college campus. Like I could say if we wasn't in college and we just lived in the same city, okay, cool, I might run into you at the grocery store, but I don't have to see you every single day. But it's like when you are in an environment where you can literally see people at any point in time, whether the dining hall, the shops, like the shops downtown, like you could literally see the party, you could see them anywhere. And it's like, damn, now you're instantly reminded of the issues you have with them, especially when they run so deep. So I'm just grateful and glad that those conversations were had and we were able to move forward. And it instantly felt like the biggest weight lifted off my chest, because like, okay, now I don't have to walk around this campus on eggshells, or there's not this like heavy feeling within me. And I feel like the biggest lesson I learned from that whole experience is to really pay attention to what people in your life are, like what people add to your life and how much value they can be, because baby, not everybody is replaceable. And I feel like I operate life on like a no bullshit kind of mindset. Like, okay, if you're bringing drama, if you're bringing stress, or if I don't like like if I don't, if I don't vibe with your mindset, then you're automatically done just like that, onto the next. But not everybody is so easily like done, like not everybody is so easy to cut off, because like damn, like you really do add value in this area of my life, or you really do pour into me in this way that other people don't. So maybe I should like stop and think before I'm so quick to like just shut people out and move on from a situation. I feel like another thing that contributed to my change in perspective of social life at Yale was I went to my first Black function, or one of the Greek organizations on campus through a function, and it was the most fun I have had at the school in the year and a half that I've been there. And it's because I saw people that looked like me. We were vibing to the same music, like we were able to enjoy our culture all in community, and nothing else mattered at that time. And it was actually the first time I like went out to a social function that my whole semester happened in the middle of October. So I was like, damn, like it gave me a lot of hope for what the Black community could look like at Yale, because the state that it's in right now is just very upsetting. It's very disappointing. But that one function made me realize, like, okay, something good could come out of this. And then another reason why my social life has been better is because I've definitely started to establish friendships, and I've definitely started to find my people. And I would say friendships, I know when I start to consider someone as a friend, because me personally, I'm very like reserved. I'm very to myself. Like I could kick it with people. I could kiki with people. I can like, interact with people. I could hold a conversation. But in terms of like wanting to be around people, wanting to share my space, wanting to open up to people, that's very difficult for me. But I start to do it naturally when I'm around people that I feel like could potentially be friends. And I definitely played into that, and I definitely watered that more as the semester progressed. So where I'm at right now, I'm literally filming this the day before I leave for Thanksgiving break. So where I'm at now, I definitely feel like I have a few like people I could count on one hand that I consider friends and that I like being around. I like to laugh with, I like to joke with, where we could also have serious conversations about what's going on this campus and what's going on, politically and socially. So I'm very grateful for that. And I feel like that's very important because I feel like a lot of my freshman year, I feel like I was the only one noticing stuff. And it wasn't until after Silence the Podcast episodes would come out where people would DM me after and be like, hey, like, I feel like that too. Or that's a common like notion on this campus. Like, you're not alone. But now I feel like I'm definitely more comfortable having those conversations. And I have found people that share the same sentiments as I do and share the same desire to see a change within how this campus operates. And I'm going to touch a little bit more into that when I go into like Black Yale specifically. But that has been so refreshing because it's like, okay, I can be in alignment with some people and we can notice the same things and we can experience the same issues and have awareness like, okay, this is not okay and something has to change. So I'm just glad that I'm having those experiences because baby, when I wasn't, it was not good. The next thing I want to talk about in terms of social life is this new like lesson that I've discovered, or this new like part of my identity that I discovered about myself. I feel like I've definitely acquired the skill of exiting spaces that don't serve me or exiting spaces that deplete me more than lift me up. That was definitely an important lesson that I needed to learn because all throughout high school, I feel like I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be a part of the change. I wanted to be like, a part of groups and spaces where it connected with my identity the most, and not even just a part of it. Like, I wanted to be on board. I wanted to be the president. I wanted to be making the executive decisions. And then this past semester, I've had to really learn that if something isn't serving me, if it's stressing me out more than it's making me happy, if I'm not having fun, I'm going to remove myself from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like I was conditioned to believe that that wasn't good, or that wasn't a good choice, or that wasn't the good move previously in my life. But I feel like now I have no problem with leaving a space that I don't feel welcomed in, or leaving a space where I feel overshadowed in, leaving a space where I feel like I'm constantly being talked over. And that's something that I'm very grateful for, because college for me has been coming out of my comfort zone and learning how to stand firm on boundaries with people. Because previously in my life, I feel like I have not been good at doing that. I feel like I started to do it during my junior year. But when shit hit the fan, I kind of didn't stand on business with it. I kind of didn't hold those boundaries firm. I didn't protect myself in ways that I should have. But I feel like now I do it instantly with no care in the world, because people know what they're doing. People know how they treat you, and people are very aware of like their actions and their words, and believe them the first time. Don't stay in situations, or don't stay in positions where you feel like you're being disrespected, or you feel like you're being overlooked, or constantly talked over, or constantly shut down just for the purpose of saying I'm a part of this, or just for the purpose of getting credit for something. Absolutely not. Drake said it the best. The moment I stop having fun with it, I'll be done with it. And I've been done with a lot of shit because it hasn't been fun anymore. And it's honestly been working for me. Now, the next thing I want to get into is kind of like very a sensitive subject because I'm in the middle of going through this conflict right now. But I feel like it's definitely something that has arisen and become a new issue during my college experience. So let's speak on it. College has negatively impacted my personal dynamics and has put a strain on my non-Yale relationships. I feel like everyone was very excited for me, very happy for me when I got into this school, because obviously I got into an Ivy League. I got into one of the hardest schools in the nation. And, the people around me were supportive. They was like, I know you could always do it. Your hard work is paying off, blah, blah, blah. But then I feel like once I actually became a student here and I started to have to get with the program and wake up and smell the coffee and, put in the work and the effort that is required to be a successful student at Yale University, then everybody was like, what happened? Why don't you answer my text? Why don't you answer your phone? Why don't you talk to me more? And I just feel like there's an overall lack of understanding of what I experience and what I face on a daily basis. And I feel like there's not a lack of understanding because people are oblivious. Like, I'm very open about what I got going on and what my schedule looks like. My schedule, I'm literally occupied from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, whether it's with school, whether it's with assignments and projects and exams and studying, or whether I'm at work. So the fact that I still barely have time for myself, but I still attempted to like feed those relationships and water those plants. And then all I got is in return is, oh, I need more, I need more, I need more. And then also people getting offended, or people taking it personally, or people getting upset where they felt like what I was giving wasn't enough and they wanted more. That was very odd and very crazy for me to experience, because it's like, are you dead ass serious right now? Like, are you not aware of of what I have going on. Like I literally go to the number 5 school in the world. Like it's literally ranked number 5 for a reason. This shit not called prestigious for no reason. Like we're not just doing ABC 1, 2, 3 here. Like it's really sink or swim at the school. And I'm not gonna be the one to sink. Real shit. Like I have a lot of stuff, a lot of goals that I want to accomplish, a lot of dreams, and I didn't get to Yale just to get to Yale. Like this was only a stepping stone in the larger plan in my greater like story, and I don't ever want to graduate and feel like damn, like I just wasted my time there, or I don't want to leave this school or close a chapter of my life in 2 years and say damn, like I didn't really get out, I didn't get what I wanted or what I needed to get out of this experience. So if my social life have to come on the back burner, or if people that aren't here that I physically can't see or can't hang out with have to take a step back, I really don't feel like that's an issue. And I'm very interested to see if this is like a common dynamic across all college students, or if this is just more specific to me or specific to the school I go to. But realistically speaking, like I cannot make time for everyone. I barely have time for myself. And on top of that, when I do have time for myself, I don't necessarily want to be in everyone's face or always on the phone with people. Like the main times I see my friends at Yale is if I'm working with them on a shift, or if I have a time to get a quick meal with them. But it's never no like we're setting aside hours where we can hang out. It's always, oh, I can come hang out with you for 30 minutes to an hour, but then I have to run to work, or they have to run to something, or like, like it's really just finding a balance and getting to and being able to fit people in when I can. And I just feel like I have not been given grace. I feel like people in my life have not been understanding, or have not even tried to understand what I have been going through and what I have to do, and the level of effort and hard work I have to put in just to survive here. And it's very disappointing, and it's very frustrating, it's very upsetting, because it's like damn, like I would never think that, like I would never have thought that I would feel the switch up and I would feel the support dialed down once I got here. But hey, it is what it is, honestly. Like if you can't get it, if you can't get with the program, then you're gonna have to dip, because at the end of the day, I'm not about to sacrifice what I got going on just to make other people feel happy and to try to pour into everybody else's cup when my cup got holes in it. Like I'm still trying to patch up the holes. Can everybody hold on a second? Like can we stop? And it's like wow. Like I'm really speechless and at a loss for words. But like I said, it is what it is. I have to do what I have to do. And the people that's gonna understand, they're gonna understand that we still gonna be locked in as we should when these 4 years are up. And the people that don't understand, I'm sorry, but like maybe we just wasn't meant to sing each other's lives, but it is what it is. Now, for the last like part of the social life at Yale, I want to touch on Black culture, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is an active problem going on within the Black Yale community, and we're still trying to figure out what is going on and how we can solve it. So I don't want to like say too much and just be like unintentionally speaking for other people, but I definitely will share my thoughts on it. And if you're like wondering what even is going on, I feel like there's a lot of dysfunction within the Black community at Yale. I feel like there's so many different groups and so many different like cliques, to the point where we can even come together and put on social events and bring the whole community out, because there's so many different people trying to do so many different things for only their affiliated organization or for their affinity groups. And it's like we can't do that. Like we're already a minority on this campus, so the fact that we're even more divided, like that's not helping anyone. And this has definitely became more apparent around Harvard Yale. If we don't know, around this time every single November, Yale and Harvard have like their big rivalry football game to see like who's the best Ivy League, who's gonna go to the playoffs or whatever. I don't even know for real. Harvard Yale was coming up, and we were just trying to plan like social events and see like what's going on. Okay, like when are we gonna bring the community out? When are we gonna celebrate as a community? When are we gonna party together as a community? And it was unbelievably difficult. Like overall, it was such a negative experience because there's so like it's just not cohesive. Like we're just not a cohesive community. And I've definitely had different conversations with different people about why we think that is. And to be honest, it just goes deeper than I don't like her or I don't like him, because I don't think it's rooted in drama. Like I don't think there's any like underlying beef that people have against each other, making the vibe and the energy awkward and weird. I just think overall we don't understand people's cultures, because some of us have come from backgrounds where we just thought like everyone that looked like us was considered Black. Like it wasn't I'm Black but I'm from here, or I'm Black but I'm from there, but I'm Black but I'm different from you in this way. Like it wasn't none of that. At least I can speak for myself. And then other people are coming from international cultures where race in terms of skin color isn't even like a big part of their identity, or it's not a big part of their culture. So they don't really align with like being black or being or having like a black identity. Like I literally had a 2 hour conversation with a group of people about this last night, and it's just revealed so many like deeper issues and so many bigger problems that are not being discussed. But I feel like those underlying tensions that are not being addressed is definitely reflected in how our community operates and how we can't all come together for one weekend to ensure that we can all party together, we can all celebrate together, and we can all have a good time. It's just so much, and it's so disappointing because once again, I said this during season 1, but during my first semester at Yale, I definitely felt like even more isolated than anything else, because coming to a predominantly white institution, I'm already the minority as a black person. And then to come here and to realize that the African community dominates in terms of numbers and like population, the Black American community here is like, okay, so I'm a minority within like the greater Yale context, and then I'm also a minority within the black community. So I'm a minority within a minority, and it's like, so where do I find my community? Where do I find my people? Where do I, what subsection do I even fit into? And it's just a crazy thing to experience. We're currently in talks and we're currently trying to figure out ways that we can get these conversations happening so we can figure out solutions. Because if I feel it and the people older than me feel it and the freshmen feel it, then what are we gonna do? Not do nothing. So then every wave of black students that get accepted into Yale all feel this like underlying disconnection, and it never gets addressed, it never gets solved. So this is an active problem that we're trying to solve. So I will keep you guys updated on like the state, but I know I've been saying this since literally last fall, and to see it really come full force and like be visible in front of everyone's faces because of like this Harvard Yale weekend situation, like I said, is very disappointing, it's very disheartening. And yeah, it's just a lot that goes into it. It just really truly is. And it's a lot of like institutional problems in terms of Yale admission. I definitely want to be a part of the change. And even saying that is a little bit frustrating to me because for once I want to be in an environment where I don't feel like I have to be some like social justice warrior that has to figure out a solution to the problem. I feel like in high school the same thing, like there were so many deep rooted issues within administration, within funding, within how that high school was ran, and I felt like I had to take charge. I had to put myself in a position to make sure that shit changes and that shit doesn't stay the same, because if I didn't do it then nobody else would. And I definitely don't feel like that to the same extent at Yale. I definitely feel like there's a lot of issues, but I don't think like I'm the only one that wants to solve them, which is a relief. But it's like, can I for once just be in an environment where I don't have to always like feel the need to want to fix something or feel the need to want to change something? Like for once, can I just be placed into an environment where like everything is cool, calm, and collected for once? Like I already have the personality type where I can just sit and watch stuff crumble and fall apart and not say anything or not do anything. But then again, it's like, why am I always in environments that are crumbling? Why am I always placed into environments that are falling apart? I don't understand. So that's all I have to say about the social life. Overall, I'm having a way better social life than I was my freshman year. And I'm very proud to say that. I know at the end of my last episode, I was like, whatever happens, like, it's going to be better than it was last year, because nothing could get worse than what I went through last year. And I've definitely been making that my mission to make sure that that's happening. So I'm very proud and happy to say that even with all these problems, is way better than what I dealt with last year. Now, the second to last topic I'm going to touch on in this episode is the living conditions, because boy, do I have a lot to say. And I'm disappointed to say that it's been shitty. It's been an absolute hell to the no. The shit I've been subject to deal with in terms of the literal space where I live in is utterly and literally ridiculous. So much so, shit hit the fan about an hour ago. So let's get into it. This campus has been dealing with a rodent issue since the spring of last school year. In theory, it's supposed to be the place where I can decompress, where I take a deep breath, where I can just chill in at the end of a long day. Like I touched on before, this campus, this school, this environment can be very draining, and not always in a bad way, but like realistically speaking, like real shit. A lot of the times at the end of the day, I come back and I'm so drained, like mentally, physically, emotionally, just because I like how long the days are. Class, work, social interactions. It's just a lot going on all the damn time. So I feel like at the end of the night where it's time for me to like go to sleep and rest my head, it would be nice, it would be beautiful if I felt comfortable in the space where I'm supposed to live in and sleep in and shower in. But to be honest, I don't. And the rodent issues, the insect issues, the bug issues have been out of fucking control. And it's really upsetting to me because for $1 billion institution, the shit that the students are subject to deal with and to live under and the environment we're expected to just be okay with trying to survive in is ridiculous. We are literally the face of y'all school. Like, we put this shit on the map. Our intelligence, our dedication, our work ethic, our grades. The students make the institution does not make the students. The least y'all can do is give us a clean, safe space to lay our heads at. That's the least y'all can do. Literally, when I first moved in, I saw something, but now I'm pretty sure it was a mouse, run out of my room. That's even after having my parents deep clean. Me and my parents deep clean this entire room on moving day, and I was still seeing roaches, I was still seeing mice. Like, it was literally ridiculous. The spider issue, I'm glad that the spiders haven't been as bad as they were last year. If you watch Silence last season, then I was always dealing with spider issues. But oh my god, like, I'm glad that even that has subsided, but I still see them. Like, do you know how it feels to go to take a shower and then you see a daddy long leg crawling on your damn robe or on your damn towel? Like, that's just fucking disgusting. And then on top of that, I am a clean person. I am a clean individual. Point blank, period. I literally make sure my space is clean at all times because I know at the end of the day, I want to be able to comfortably get in the bed. I don't have food laying around everywhere. I don't have trash laying around everywhere. Like, I don't have clothes all over the place. That's the only time my room gets messy, when I'm like, it's a busy week and I'm just trying to figure out like what outfits I want to wear. That's the only time my room gets messy. But I am clean. I have a cart full of cleaning products that I put to use every Sunday when I'm doing my Sunday reset. So the fact that I'm still doing what I have to do and I'm seeing these peculiar ass insects all the fucking time, it's frustrating. It's ridiculous. Spiders, creepy looking bugs. I don't even know what they're called. Like, for example, I usually like take everything from under my bed and I like to deep clean, like sweep and mop. And I kept seeing these like translucent, long little bugs that would move so fast. And then when they would die, they would crawl up into like a worm form. Like, even just thinking about the shit is giving me the heebie-jeebies because it's like, are you dead ass serious? Like, are you literally serious? Like, what the fuck is in these floors? What is in these walls? What is going on to the point where I'm constantly in a state of worry of what the fuck is going to crawl out or jump out at me when it's time for me to lay my head down? The issue that happened an hour ago, I'm literally packing up my suitcase because I'm going home tomorrow for Thanksgiving break. And I have like a coat rack, or I have like a clothing rack outside of my room in the hallway because my room is too damn small to fit all of my stuff in here. So I have it in the hallway in like a corner. I'm grabbing some like hoodies I can take to bring back home. I look down and there's a mouse on one of our mouse traps. The fact that we even had to get mouse traps where we live is crazy. But I look down and see a big mouse laying flat down on the mousetrap. Like, and then to make matters worse, me and my only suite mate that's left in the suite, we literally call Yale facilities like, hey, we have a mouse stuck on our mousetrap and it's still alive. And he's nonchalant as fuck, talking about some where we like they're gonna come tomorrow morning, but they're not gonna come out tonight. It's like, are you serious? So like, this is normal for y'all? Like y'all are okay with students living like this? On a different mousetrap, we in our suite, we have a cockroach stuck on that one. We had a mouse stuck on a different one. Like, I just cannot fathom how these people are okay with their students living like this. And it's not like they're oblivious to the issue. They're damn sure not oblivious to the issue, because I can count on 10 fingers and 10 toes the amount of people I talk to that have experienced rodents and all this other stuff in their suite and in their living environment, and it's just not okay. Like, it's just not okay, bro. This school has too much damn money to be subjecting us to the shit that we have to deal with. Why are there only 6, maybe even 5 washing machines, and 2 or 3 of them are always broken or out of service when I go to do my laundry? In a building of how many students? Like, this just really does not make sense. And then the dryers are worse. There's more dryers, but there's more dryers that are broken as well. And then on top of that, the dryers that do work literally have the clothes sitting there. They don't even dry the clothes. So after an hour of drying, I go downstairs to get my clothes and they're still wet or they're still damp. Like, literally, this makes no sense. This school has way too much money for us to not be having a top tier living situation. I'm not saying this got to be like we're living in West Hollywood, LA. Like we don't have to have no fancy like doorman service and everybody got their own room. And I'm not saying it has to be over unrealistically a college living experience, but for the stuff that we do endure, it's completely and utterly unacceptable. Point blank, period. Sharing a space with people, even me having my single and still having to share a living room and a bathroom with people, has been the cause of 30 to 40% of my stress this past semester. And I'm not even going to say too much about this because it could easily get spun as I'm trying to personally attack people or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, if you're comfortable seeing rodents in your home, if you're comfortable leaving trash everywhere, if you're comfortable leaving the bathroom a mess, if you're comfortable doing certain stuff, whip that shit into shape before you come to college. Because then you're going to run into people that, like me, that's not having that at all. And there's going to be a bad situation, an uncomfortable and a negative situation for literally everyone to live in. And it's just really been hard for me to wrap my head and like fathom the shit that I've been experiencing, sharing a space with other people, because it's like, no way. It's just really ridiculous. And coming into college, I already knew the living stuff and the living situation wasn't going to be enjoyable because I know how I am. Like my living situation and where I lay my head at, that's very important to me. Because for someone that easily gets drained and worn out from constant social communication and just constantly being in an environment where there's so much going on all at the same time, I like having at least one space on this campus where I can step in and take a deep breath and really decompress and feel comfortable to just let loose, put my pajamas on, chill, have a good time. And I can't even do that. I literally cannot even do that. I literally do not even like being in my own residential college or being in my own room or using my own bathroom or being in my own suite because there's so many issues that keep building up and building up and building up and building up. All I know is never again. And something has to give because as of lately, it's been me, the one that's giving, and it can't stay like that. Real shit. I'm almost halfway done with my sophomore year, which means I'm almost halfway through my college experience. And I just want to keep trying to make the best of it as possible. I feel like now definitely that I'm finding like my way around this campus and I'm learning to navigate certain like situations. And I'm definitely finding my people that I enjoy being around and that I can have like real productive, real serious conversations with and still keep it like respectful and still keep it cordial. I feel like things are going to get better from here. It's just a little stuff like reuniting the black community and like getting a new living situation because I cannot do this anymore. Like it's just gonna take a little bit more of those extra steps, but I truthfully do feel like by the time, or I don't feel like this honestly, like I truthfully don't feel like anything, but I'm still trying to keep and maintain hope that by the time I graduate college, this is an experience I could really look back on and be like, damn, like, like I did what I had to do. I got what I needed to get out of it and I'm ready for the next chapter. My biggest fear is just leaving this unfulfilled and just feeling like I wasted a lot of my time or just feeling like maybe this wasn't the right school for me all along. Like, I don't know. As of right now, I really don't know. Like every time I try to get like, I start getting further and further and like, yeah, maybe Yale is home. Like maybe this was the right choice. It's just a lot of stuff that keeps setting it back and making me rethink whether or not like this space is for me. But at this point, I have to make it for me. I have to make it my own. And like, it is what it is. As far as silence, I'm still going to keep on continuing with silence. I'm going to do the best I possibly can to keep you guys updated and to stay consistent. I'm anticipating at least one more episode of 2025 for Silence, which is going to be when I like during my winter break and like my final recap, my final wrap up of how my first semester of my sophomore year went. So that would be like after final season, hopefully after I get my grades back. So I'll be able to like really reflect on how all these different factors impacting my academics and like what is my new standing. And then I have a feeling I'm going to take another break during my spring semester because I'm going to be doing like I have a lot of stuff going on, very important stuff too that's going to require a lot of my time and my energy. So y'all might not hear from me after the winter break episode until like the end of my sophomore year and the full and the final recap. But trust me and like just trust and believe when I say everything is going to be worth it and it's all going to make sense. As always, thank you so much if you're a supporter of Silence. Thank you to anybody that reached out to me and made sure that I was going to continue Silence when you guys noticed that I was on a hiatus. I appreciate all the support always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, I'm able to finish the semester off strong because it's going to take a lot of work and effort and dedication during this Thanksgiving break to make sure that I see the results I want to see. But I'm kind of used to it at this point. I got to do what I got to do to get where I need to be, and I'm closer to where I want to be than I've ever been. So I just have to stay the course and make sure, I'm staying on top of my shit. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next one.